to turn the volume on your phone down.
Do you want to turn it back up again?
But then we'll be able to
Put on the
hear it.
right app. Joe DiMaggio. Marilyn Monroe. That's enough. That is one of those songs where I genuinely only know about 1/10 of the words. I know the verse. Oh, are we starting again? No, we're not. Morning, everybody. Welcome to this special Father's Day edition of the Kindness Project. I'm joined by a girl who did start the fire. It's Charlotte Dames.
Apparently that was a great intro. And I'm joined by a man who had the debate with me this morning about whether we were going to start with "We Didn't Start the Fire" or the countdown intro.
No, the countdown theme tune comes at the end, doesn't it? Clearly. So we've got a jam-packed show today. We've got our second part of our interview with Melissa and Jacqueline.
Yes, we have a Happy Father's Day comment.
Happy Father's Day, Trev. Same to you, mate.
We also need to mention about the fact that although this is Father's Day while it's live, when this goes out on the actual podcast, it's going to be New Year's Eve.
So far on the Kindness Project, we've recorded 40 episodes over the past 10 or so weeks.
So this is going to be a New Year's
on the audio version, the one that's been running for a couple of years, that has a decent number of subscribers, we only publish a episode once a week. So that currently, as we sit today, we are 26 weeks in front on the audio version.
Yep, and we're halfway through the year, so this is going to be the end of year one.
So we are travelling in time. So happy Father's Day and
Happy New Year's!
Happy 2021.
So sorry we didn't talk about Christmas. we missed Christmas.
We missed Christmas. We skipped it. But I think everybody's looking forward to 2021 because it's bdo a bit of a year, isn't it? So yeah, we can.
An understatement.
Is the word. What do you think of "We Didn't Start the Fire"? Do you like that?
I do like it. I used to listen to it. It's on my revision playlist because it's a song about the Cold War, and the Cold War was one of my topics, which I will never sit the exam for now.
So hopefully, if you're watching this live or watching it over the next couple of weeks, happy Father's Day. And if you're listening to it on the podcast as it goes out, Happy New Year. Happy 2021.
Happy Christmas.
And Merry Christmas. We completely forgot about Christmas.
Should we sing a Christmas song? I've been saying that it might be a Christmas episode for weeks.
Knock yourself out.
No, thank you.
No, take it away. Take it away.
No, I insist that we don't.
I'm singing a Christmas song. We didn't start the fire. Do you want to crack on? Question of the podcast. Let's do that first.
Yeah. We don't have that many comments.
Is it Father's Day or no? The question of the podcast is what book changed your life the most? And the fact that we haven't got any comments so far, we've probably got hundreds of comments by the time we get to the New Year's Eve edition. But as we record this live, I only posted it this morning.
Yeah, although I asked you to post it Wednesday.
I've had a busy week. It's coming up to 2021. I've got to prepare properly for the new year.
Yeah, half a year. You've got half a year to prepare.
Time's going so fast now, Charlotte, isn't it?
No, I mean, is it New Year's? Is it the solstice?
What did you do to celebrate the solstice / New Year?
I went shopping for dog food.
Living the dream.
Yeah.
Well done. I think we might be running out of topics actually, because we sat down this morning and said, "What should we talk about?" And you went, "We're getting a new lawn." I was like, don't know if our podcast listeners want to hear about our new lawn.
Well, no, because they completely dug the old one out and they found cement under there. And they took it all out and they covered it in sand.
Yeah.
Not the pile of stuff that they took out.
Are we not mentioning the dead bodies? Oh no, sorry, we'll keep them to ourselves. Shh. So, shall we? The question of the podcast is: what book changed your life the most? What book really had an impact in terms of your life, and how?
Yes.
So please comment live. please write in, because we do. I mean, this question might come back on a future podcast anyway. But please, whenever
it's coming back New Year's.
Whenever you listen to this, let us know, because we do want to hear. Thanks to Lorraine for watching, Brenda, Trev, Tracy, and everybody else who's watching as well. We can't see everybody.
Because I had to click out because you wanted to play Wii and start the fire.
Of course, it's a good start to the podcast. So I started my Father's Day by going for a run. Didn't have time to get changed, clearly, still in my running gear. And I ran to work, I ran to the office, so we had some peace and quiet,
Yeah.
So
I got drove here in my mum's car.
In my mum's car. Hey, you know what? You're 16 now, right? There is like you're in that threshold where you go, I'm sort of an adult, but sort of not. And the phrase "in me mum's car" shows you're sort of not.
It's an online viral video.
I haven't. Well, what?
There's a video and it's this kid and they're in their mum's car and they're just like, I'm in me mum's car, broom, broom, and their mum goes, get out the car, and they just go, oh.
Sorry, what accent was that? What?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
It's just imitating the
in my mum's car.
In my mum's car.
We didn't start the fire.
Anyway, descending into chaos today.
It was always burning since the world was turning. Right, should we do some Mr. David Forrest?
Yes, and then we are
Silver
on
Linings.
with the interview.
So let us know, unofficial question of the podcast while Charlotte lines that up. What are you up to for Father's Day? Slash New Year. Please do let us know. How are we celebrating Father's Day once the podcast is done? I suppose I'm going home and there's fireworks and...
No.
Is there going to be new grass?
Yes.
Hey!
And we're having a hodgepodge delightful dinner.
Okay. That's how you celebrate Father's Day in the Dame's house. New grass and a hodgepodge dinner. Right. Can you tell us what Dave Forrest has been up to?
Okay. Silver linings for Friday. I don't know why.
Tom Schruben,
who lives in Kensington, Maryland, has become a local celebrity with his daily dad jokes. Since lockdown started, he's been writing a new joke on a board and putting it in the front of his house every morning. It escalated to the point he's now running a fundraising bad dad joke competition for Father's Day. I imagine you'll be entering. Students.
Is he talking to me personally? Because I've got a feeling he might be talking to you, because you're the master of the bad dad joke.
Thank you. Students in the US have found a way of getting surplus food from farms to those going hungry. Going. Farms have excess crops because restaurants are closed, so FarmLink are raising money from donations to buy the surplus and transport it to food banks.
Love that idea.
That's a picture of
It's a picture of a dog. We're on Dave's Forrest Day's personal timeline. Silver linings for Saturday. 101-year-old Margaret McConchie has raised £12,000 for NHS charities by completing a higher speed zip wire challenge. You know what lockdown has shown me? Just life is long and age is no barrier to doing amazingly exciting stuff.
And if you're 101, you want to do a zip line for charity, do it.
Well, shall we? I think one of the things that we're going to do this summer is the Cornwall zip wire.
We're not 101 and we're not raising money for charity.
That is true. Does that mean that we're not allowed to go on zip wires? is the zip wire now Sorry, Charlotte, you can't go on this. You're not 101.
Or raising money.
Come back in 80, 90 odd years and you can give it a go. Is that what we're doing?
In 90 years, I will be 106.
I know. So you'll be allowed on the zip wire.
So I should come back in 85 years.
Exactly. Anyway, opera singer John Hudson has begun putting on a weekly performance for his village of Piddlehinton. Is that a real place? Since lockdown began. With his booming voice and the amplifying effect of the Piddle Valley. The Piddle Valley. Would you like to live in the Piddle Valley?
I
bet it's a bit damp. He could be 3 miles away. outside the Piddle Valley. Thankfully, villagers across the valley, on the other side of the Piddle Valley, said they enjoy his singing.
14-year-old Freddie has come up with 2 award-winning inventions to protect and care for the vulnerable.
Where's Freddie live? Does he live in the Whittle Valley? No?
Okay. His door PI system uses facial recognition and other security measures to protect against strangers coming to the door. And his full bot helps find people who have fallen and are unconscious in distress.
I love that idea. Yeah, absolutely love that idea. And Dave, for Sunday's Silver Linings, has gone back to musicals. He said, most dads I know love Queen, and the band are hosting a tour watch party on YouTube at 8 p.m. tonight, featuring highlights from their recent tours with Adam Lambert. The 1 hour show will only be available for 24 hours. I can imagine a lot of dads tuning in for a sing-along. I know I will. That's what we should do. We should start the next podcast out with We Will.
A lot of pressure on me.
Do you know the words?
Rock you. I should know all the words to that song.
Could have made a bit more effort though. We will rock you. It's inappropriate to make a dad joke if you're not a dad. You've been doing it for weeks now, so what are you going to do to...
Then they're mum jokes.
You're not a mum!
No, but I think...
Oh, okay. Because you're a kid and you can do
that.
Yeah. These are many more. It's inappropriate to make a dad joke if you're not a dad. It's a faux pas. God. These are many more classic dad jokes have been brought together by Country Living. These will have the dads chuckling and everyone else groaning. Have you got a dad joke for today or not?
No, I came
prepared. Maybe have a look at their website. One dad got to relieve his dream of driving an ice cream van thanks to his daughter. Pastor Bill Losasso once reminisced about the time he was an ice cream van.
His name was Pastor.
Pasta spaghetti bolognese often reminisced about the time he was an ice cream man, and at 73 he got to do it again. Handed out hundreds of pre-packaged ice creams to children and adults in St. Petersburg, Florida. I would like to be an ice cream man, and the closest I think you've got was when our old mate Vitulio at the gelato machine, and you and Sophie got to make ice creams live. So that was good. Thank you, Dave, for those amazing silver linings. We really appreciate it. John. Good to see you watching, mate. Thanks for watching live. We have now got our second part of our interview with Melissa and Jacqueline. Melissa and Jacqueline run an organisation called kindness.org. They're based in New York, and they do scientific research into why we should all be kinder. This is the second part of the interview. The first part was on Wednesday, wasn't it?
Yes.
Wednesday or last week if you're watching the audio or listening to the audio version of the podcast. And in this particular part, Jacqueline and Lindsay talk stoicism, kindness, and answer the question of the podcast that eludes us the most. What's the best Muppet? Run the show. What's your favourite kindness quote?
There are so many good ones. Go ahead, John.
Do you know? I can go, but if you have yours.
Well, I'm wondering if we're going to say the same one. So you go first.
This is... Sorry.
Not a test, but I don't want to steal it.
You first. Please, please tell us.
You see the story of our life. So I have two. One's an oldie but a goodie by Seneca, and it says, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." And yeah, I don't think it needs a lot of explanation. It's so beautiful to me, and I cherish it deeply. And then one is a personal kindness.org one that we've come up with, which is that's the power of kindness that can change the ending of a story. So those would be mine. Did I take it, Melissa?
Yeah, but it's cool. See, we're just aligned. But I do have another one. I wrote down a couple backups just in case. And there's another one that I like by George Elliston, and it's how beautiful a day can be, kindness touches it.
Oh, I love that. Really nice. It's interesting, Jacqueline, you mentioned Seneca, because the Stoics are known for being kind, but actually they were a very socially responsible philosophy, right?
Yes.
So I love Stoicism. And it's interesting because that don't worry about what's going on, worry about the action you take to feel better is a philosophy that I live by.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you mentioned. It gives me an opportunity to talk about Stoicism, number one.
Again.
But again, sorry, you can tell I do it quite a lot. But certainly the presumption when you talk to Stoicism about Stoicism not being particularly socially responsible, the history dictates that they were, right?
I agree.
So your book's full of recognising their unkindness or recognising kind acts that they've received. Do you think it's important to take the time to, as you've talked about the stories, do you think it's important to take the time and reflect on when you've been kind and when you've received kindness and why?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, in my own kindness journey, part of my reflecting is not just when I've been kind, but when I haven't been and why. Like what stopped me in that moment and what, how do you start to remove that and form different habits so that when you're in the moment, you choose kindness first. And I think that reflection has been a really powerful tool for me. I call it like your kind redo. So it's like, okay, just rewind. Or when you're in that circumstance again, what is the kind action that you can take?
It's really interesting when you talk about habits, because I had one I'm not particularly proud of, but and I only changed when we started exploring kindness a bit more, of ignoring homeless people, particularly when I'm walking around. I don't know what it's like in New York, but in London, I think you get into a habit of just not doing anything, being apathetic about the situation. And when you start looking at that behaviour, you go, you know what? It's so easy to help, isn't it? It's a few pounds, it's a sandwich, it's a can of Coke. But sometimes kindness and unkindness is a habitual, isn't it? You generate habits that you. So how do you replace potentially some of those unkind habits with habits that might be a bit kinder? What does the research say?
Well, interestingly enough, on the topic of people experiencing homelessness, we did a little investigation into understanding what people experiencing homelessness would see as kindness and what matters most to them, because a lot of it is misperception, and oftentimes the apathy comes from you've already got a narrative about them, why they're there, they deserve it, they don't need my help, they're going to spend it on drinking, whatever that narrative might be. And oftentimes what people are looking for is dignity. So it may not even be the cost of the sandwich as much as the cost of you smiling at them and looking them in the eye and just saying, I see you as a human. And I'll tell you that we've had plenty of people do that and haven't had a good experience with it. So of course, nothing can ever be the perfect one-size-fits-all solution. But I think it's about nurturing your self-awareness and challenging yourself to be willing to get outside your comfort zone a little bit in those situations. Like, look, if you want to grow your muscles, yeah, it's a habit to go to the gym, and it might be really hard for you, and you might not want to do it, and you'll come up with all the reasons not to. Those things that allow you to get fit and strong and care for yourself. So I think in the very same vein, kindness is a muscle that can be cared for and new habits can be formed. But it's about getting out there and trying it and pushing those boundaries you have.
Yeah, you know what? My turning point was, I go into London for work and things like that. My turning point was there was a guy who sat outside the same shop every day, and I just bought him can of Coke. I just bought him a can of Coke. And he said to me, thank you, but actually I prefer a Diet Coke, which was a bit cheeky, but actually it was good feedback. So next time I bought him a can of Diet Coke, right? And he went, how did you know I like Diet Coke? And I went, you told me last week when I bought you a can of full fat. And he went, thank you for remembering. And it's really interesting how that sort of just somebody remembering what's important to somebody is so fundamental to our human dignity, right?
Yes.
And I get it wrong a lot as well, by the way. I mean, I clearly do, but certainly like that sort of thing is a learn for me. Charlotte, do you want to do the next question?
Yes, I'm just kind of hoping to do all of the last.
Go on.
Could communicate that with just my hands under the desk.
The poking wasn't enough.
No,
you had to talk to me about it, didn't you?
Yeah. Okay. So with the work you've done with kindness, or what are you most proud of?
You guys are asking us a lot of questions about the most and the favorite, and I always have like three. I need like the top three. It's so hard to pick.
Let's make it a little bit easier. What's your top 27? I'm joking.
Top 92.
What's your top 112? What's the top three things you're most proud of?
So I'm just going to pick something that's really small, actually. There's a lot. I'm going to do this. One, our schools program, Learn Kind. Two, the research that we've done, I think, because I love the science, and that there's just been some really great contributions that can be used by other researchers and scientists. So I love anything that really allows for scale and massive change. Mm-hmm. But the thing that potentially I'm the most proud of is we did this little video with our interns last summer, and we went out on the streets of Brooklyn and tried to get people to stop what they were doing and say what they appreciate about the person that they're with. And so we had all this research and all this staging around like, what is human behavior? How do you do this? Can it work? And it was like, can we actually just apply it on the streets of Brooklyn? And so when you go out and you're there, and it worked, and we watched all of these moments and people and colleagues and mothers and daughters, ex-husband and wife, divorced couple, just actually stopping and being like, why have we never done that? And what transpired because of that interaction? I think those are the moments that I'm most proud of because they're not in the conference room, they're real. Yeah. And you get to witness it.
I suppose there's two things there, isn't there? There's number one, creating the space for people to say what they truly feel, and which I think sometimes, as we've spoken about, sometimes you don't give yourself enough mental space and nobody asks you. And also, I love the idea of guerrilla kindness. Just going out and just going, right, we are gonna make change here. I love it, absolutely love it. Jacqueline, what's your top three favourite things? Oh, they're probably the same, aren't they? No, I don't know.
I would say definitely 1 and 2 very similarly. I'm so proud of the research we've been able to contribute, and our new schools program, Learn Kind, has been a definite moment of pride. But I have really, truly been grateful for the way we've shown up for every single person in the world who's needed this mission or come to this mission in some way. Because often what people are looking for is a response or someone to care or someone to listen. And it's meant a lot to see the makeup of people who engage with us and their stories and their backgrounds. It shows the true reflection that kindness is in all of us and affects all of us and shows up for every human around the world. It just might look a little different. So that's been something I've been really, really proud of.
Yeah, so seeing the diversity of the different sorts of people who feel kindness is important. Can you two just share with me a little bit about the project you do in schools, please?
Yeah, so we ultimately felt like there was an opportunity to contribute to programming in the classroom and wanted to understand what the landscape looked like and how we could have a meaningful contribution if that was a space we were to move into. And we were able to develop a program where we cultivated student scientists to send them on a journey of discovery to find out for themselves how kindness can affect things like their well-being and the well-being of those around them. And it's tapping into cultivating skills like empathy and curiosity and self-awareness. So we've just rolled it out this year in the spring. And obviously, amidst all the school closures, had to adapt. Our program was showing up to support educators and families, but we are planning a relaunch of it for the fall, and more to come. We're looking at it the way we would any research project, by trying to study its effectiveness and its impact, so that when we hopefully can open it up to anyone around the world, we can show the before and after, the way that it's shown up and translated for kinder kids in the classroom.
Do you think that kids are naturally kinder? Do you think we learn unkindness as we grow into adults? What does it say?
I know, well, there's like, what's actually proven versus what is our gut. And I think my personal, not proven, but yeah, I think we start out a heck of a lot kinder than we end up. And, I don't think it has to be that way. Kids exhibit empathy from, by the age of 2. There are studies with very young kids, they prefer the puppet who wins, but not a puppet who wins by 4. So there is enough there that really shows. And I think anybody who has kids or spends a lot of time around kids, you see their kindness and their generosity. And yes, we don't always end up that way.
Okay.
So what's next for Kindness All?
Yeah, a large majority of this year will be spent on the Learn Kind program and ramping up for it for this fall. So that's one of the biggest things in front of us, continuing to find ways to do research that's meaningful and relevant and actually useful into having greater impact to mission. Those are a couple of things immediately in front of us.
Talk to me about the panacea. What would be the ideal, like in 10 years' time, if you could achieve all your goals? And I'm doing this for Melissa specifically. What top 3 goals would you like to achieve?
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of borrowing from one Melissa loves, which is like, how could the world be 10% kinder? Could you imagine if that?
A massive impact, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's like we talk about what's realistic. 10 years, I would love to see kindness education as a part of like schools across the board. Kindness in schools. Kindness in public policy and government. I want, like you were saying earlier, like, yes, it should matter to officials. They should be able to run on a platform and they should be able to get elected. And I want to see businesses across the board, whether that's environmental responsibility, how you treat your employees, paid maternity leave, whatever that paternity leave, like whatever that looks like, we need more kindness in business. So I want it in all 3 of those areas. And I think that could be doable in years. And then I think the world might be 10% kinder.
I love that. You know what? I think it's been really interesting since, because I run a business as well as hosting the podcast. And one of our values is do well, do good. You can be profitable and grow and build a business, but have values of kindness at the heart. And what we've seen actually during lockdown in the UK is businesses exhibit a range of different behaviours, but some be really quite mercenary to their employees during this period. And there's been a bit of, I think rightfully so, public sort of blowback on that behaviour, which I'm glad to see. I mean, holding businesses who don't look after their people in the right way to account is the way to a better responsible capitalism, isn't it? You know, that's where we want to see the world going. I think you're absolutely right. Before we talk about where people can find out a bit more about you and the work you do, what we do on the Kindness Project, every episode we have a question of the podcast, and I don't know if you knew about this, but what we do is we ask our audience to answer a random question, just because we are, as you can probably tell already, quite curious people.
I thought you were going to say that this is quite a shambolic mess half the time.
It is, but we'll move on from that. But what we normally do is just ask people just questions that we're curious about. So here's I haven't got a list.
You haven't got a list?
I haven't got a list, but the one that's always the most contentious are the ones that are the most trivial. So I'm going to start with a really trivial one, and one of our most contentious questions of the podcast out of our 100 odd different podcasts that we've released. Who is the world's greatest Muppet?
Oh.
Now, I love the fact that you're really giving this some thought. I mean, it's genuinely not that serious, but please tell us.
I have to say Little Miss Piggy.
Good choice. I think there's only one choice. Miss Piggy's wrong, but we'll let you have it.
You can't say that.
Melissa, who's yours?
I don't know. I mean, I just feel like I have to say Kermit.
Kermit.
But that might.
Now you're ignoring. Now clearly,
there's 4 different opinions here.
Clearly, you're ignoring the genius that is Animal. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I'm more of a fuzzy person.
But what's yours? I think this tells a lot about us. Okay, so
yeah,
it's something you can just
true.
Like. I'm more of a fuzzy fan myself.
You're a fuzzy fan. You know what? There should be a Muppet personality test, shouldn't there? You know what I mean? Definitely.
There's probably one on like BuzzFeed or something.
The one that's going out live tomorrow when we do a live show. And what's the advice you've ever had?
Worst advice? Oh.
Nice guys finish last.
Yeah, that is poor advice, isn't it?
It's not true.
It's not true as well.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
It's not true. It's not true at all. But you feel. I mean, this was like, I went. Was young the first time I became a manager and went into business, and I just feel like so much of what I was told was you kind of had to be mean.
Yeah.
Isn't true.
No good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah. Do you think in corporate culture? I don't know about the States, but certainly the UK. There's in the last probably decade or so, there's been a move back towards kind of business, or is there still a Wall Street gecko style attitude with American business? What do you think?
I'd say both.
Yeah.
I think companies still very much exist, the old school, like macho, locker room, all of that. But I also think there's a huge shift in companies wanting to prioritize kindness and however that shows up for them, whether that's focused on employee well-being and engagement. And I think it's both.
Yeah. Have you got a question in the podcast you'd like to ask?
The biscuit one.
Go on and do the biscuit
What is
one.
the world's best biscuit? Because we had loads of controversy.
Well, I think we should clarify for the audience, in the US, a biscuit is a piece, not a cookie, but it's a cookie, right?
The cookie.
It's a cookie, yeah.
World's best cookie.
An M&M chocolate chip cookie.
Oh, sounds good.
But like a proper biscuit, like that you would get in London.
Yeah,
or am I supposed to actually translate it to like cookie?
I mean, do you get like? Would you buy custard creams or chocolate digestives or anything like that? Would you have those?
I mean, yes, when in London. But I'm very curious what the best is, because I would like to start to like bring this into my, I'd like to taste test this. So if you give me a list of what you think are the top 5, I will taste them all and I will come back with a definitive answer.
That is a second interview already arranged, right? What we're going to do is I will post you some biscuits, Melissa. And the next time we do one of these interviews, we'll do a little test.
I've got a great palate. Listen.
We'll do a share. Oh, you send me some cookies. And then we can decide which is which. I mean, that sounds ideal.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, so where can people find out about you and the work you do?
Are we finished with questions of the podcast?
Yeah, we're done.
All right, we're done.
Moving on. We haven't.
How many people got homes to go to? I was quite happy having a chat. Structure. Fuzzy animal, you can tell, can't you? Go on.
Okay, where can people find out about the work you do, and how can people get involved?
I mean, our name is our website, so you can go to kindness.org, and right on our homepage, we have many different ways that you can join us in this mission. Of course, engaging with us on social media. You can find all of our links on the site. And we try to respond to every single person who reaches out. So message us or email us, and we're here to listen.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us on the Kindness Project. I've really loved chatting with you. Have you enjoyed it as well?
Yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, and have a lovely day. And that is the mic back on, and that was an amazing interview with Melissa and Jacqueline from kindness.org. Thanks to Melissa and Jacqueline for coming on, and apparently I owe them some biscuits. Right, this is interesting. If you were going to send an American person some biscuits, and if you're one of our British viewers and listeners, what biscuits do we need to send them?
Ginger nuts.
You were straight in with this. You've got an answer immediately. Ginger nuts.
Bourbon biscuits.
Bourbons.
Custard creams.
Hobnobs. Hobnobs, yeah. Digestives,
yeah.
Anything else? So, regardless of whether you're watching this near Father's Day or you're listening.
Cookies.
Shortbread.
Scottish
shortbread. You've got to put that in there. So I will get a collection of biscuits and arrange that to be sent to the guys in New York to say thank you for an amazing podcast interview. We really appreciate your time, Melissa and Jacqueline. Thanks for coming on. The question of the podcast today was, which book has influenced you the most? And the first answer we had, I think, was slightly tongue-in-cheek, because Dawn said 50 Shades of Grey. I'm not going to ask what way it influenced you, Dawn, but as long as you enjoyed it, that's the important thing. No comment. Mark Newman said, Lance Armstrong's autobiography properly. I read it before I found out he was a cheat, but cheat or not, his determination to succeed is on a very scary level. And Sarah Robinson said her favourite was The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. I think that's by Robin Sharma, and it's on my list as well. Eve Keith said, difficult to say, although I definitely took a lot from Caitlin Moran, How to Be a Woman. And I think what we're going to do is maybe do a new question on the podcast for next Wednesday, or maybe just keep that one open, see if we get any more answers. And that is the end of another show.
Wait, is it countdown theme song time?
Countdown theme song time. After the joke, I'll do the countdown theme song.
Okay,
you do the joke.
I've got one. Okay. My phone chooses this moment to freeze on me.
Now, bear in mind that as soon as I start the countdown theme song, you've got to start the joke, because as soon as that ends, I'm pressing off on the podcast. You ready? Mm-hmm. Let's go.
Do I go over the countdown theme song? Did you hear about the 2 people who stole the calendar?
No.
They each got 6 months.
Bye.